Morning, people. Wow, look at this. Really beautiful. Whoa. There's little... Oh my god, I see the Grigori. Hi, Grigori. Oh my god. I don't know if people can see what I'm seeing, but I'm actually seeing people. Little dudes with their arms out and like wings. I can't even explain to you guys what I'm experiencing right now. Oh my god, I can't even explain to you what I'm seeing right now. Holy. And what I'm experiencing. Oh my god. That is the moon right up there too. I'm sitting directly underneath it basically. I didn't even realize it at first. My chest is pumping right now. Oh my god. I am meant to be at this spot at this moment. All the clouds are moving in different directions. They are elementals, and I am being spoken to right now. Last night I uncovered something in Dreamtime, and you know what? I'm gonna mention that I did because I'm sure he wouldn't mind. I connected with Frank Castle last night in Dreamtime for a few minutes. Oh my god, I am seeing all sorts of dragons and angel-looking creatures. But not only that, there's information coming to me. In fact, oh, there he is. There's the hawk. Now my buddy's coming, Horus. That's my spirit guide. Just flew by. You see the moon too right there, right? So I am at my sacred grounds. Whoa. I knew if I turned around it would be completely different. There is the heart. The heart of what took place last night. And the rise of these ancient codes. Wow, guys, I could all day right there. I need water. I feel like, oh my God. You have no idea what was coming over me. And last night, as I was laying down to go to sleep, I was getting I didn't even fall asleep yet, and I was getting so much imagery within my consciousness, so much information coming, and I was, if you want to say astral projecting with my consciousness. I was traveling dimensional planes like you wouldn't believe, and I encountered Frank. In fact, we asked each other's permission beforehand. And it's very, very rare where people can do that. Like, hey, I'm going to meet you in dream time and then be there. It's not that easy. Most people are not able to get rid of their negative chatter in their life and be able to do that. And I did see Frank last night at the beginning of me falling asleep. And right before I was going to sleep, I was getting imagery like you wouldn't believe, like off the chart imagery. And the weird thing is, when I fell asleep and I first saw Frank, there was this, and I haven't talked to him yet today. I tried calling him before this, but he was sleeping. I don't know if he's sleeping. I guess he didn't answer the phone. It just rang twice and went to voicemail, so I figured he was sleeping. I saw this ancient frog-headed type, like guy with, he was dressed up with like big straps over here, like he was a warrior or something. He had straps going this way and straps going that way, almost like he had shoulder pads on, like a spear that looked like it was like digital with weird hieroglyphics on it. It was very intriguing, and I didn't get like he was a bad person either. I got like he was some sort of like Ninja Turtle type fucking defender. It almost looked like a Ninja Turtle, but bigger and bulkier and not childlike like them. This thing was serious looking, like badass looking. And again, I don't know where to start because, hey Jess, hey Melinda, hey Anna, Laureen, what's up everybody? And for those of things are getting back into swing. I was actually sick still. I'm actually still sick a little bit. But I'm getting back in the swing of things. Today is going to be the first day where we're going to do our structured Patreon and shamanic system, where I'm going to stick to a schedule as best as possible because I do have a baby and a lot of things going on. But I want to do a spirit flame news every morning for my Patreon, where I come with different occult and religion and metaphysical news, both from the eternal, all from the eternal now, some from other prior timelines and other realities, and some from what's happening right now in this reality. So I'm going to do a Spirit Flame News hopefully every day, and then once a week or twice a week we're going to do Zoom chats. And then my shamanic class is going to be starting either tomorrow night or the following night again. I already have 2 classes that we did, but we still have like 4 more classes in this first tier. So that's going to be restarting again this week in the next day or 2. I have to be like clear-headed and feeling completely good to be able to perform and relay the information appropriately and with the right energy. So that's why if most people would just do things, just do it, and they wouldn't care. But I don't ever do a reading or a shamanic session if I'm not up to par. So that's why, it's not that I stall. It's because I'm not gonna put mixed energy out there. When I have the right energy, I do it. And the whatever's going, like the stuff that's happening on this planet now, and the spiritual warfare and obligations that I'm involved in is leaving me sometimes with a mixed and low energy. And that's why that, I don't ever do a reading or a class, a shamanic session, unless I'm up to par, unless I can do it fully, unless I'm all together like Voltron. So what's up everybody? We got some more people in now, so I have some mind-boggling information to share with you guys, and things that I pulled back in the last few days, and I've been talking about for the last few years, and now some answers are coming. And if you go back to a lot of my interviews over the last few years, I talked about the year 2020. Hey Josh, hey Joan, hey Lynn, what's up my brother? I've been talking about 2020 for a while, how we are involved in this final spiritual battle on our planet. And 2020 enters into that complete era where the stars align in the certain cycle, that in a certain timeline that we've been moved to. When certain equinoxes, when certain solstices click into place. This is when these energies activate. And one of them was last night. A big one was last night. And if you go back on my Patreon a few months, I think, just do the word search if you're on my Patreon, and that's patreon.com/themysticalspiral. If you do, like, I think you could do like a search for like tags, you know, for topics of the articles. If you put in, and I'm going to get to some of the information that I came back with last night that's going to blow your guys' minds in a second, but this is just as intriguing, because I believe some of what I saw last night is related to this technology and this experience that this one man had, I believe, in the 1500s. Now, if you go back on my Patreon, like I was saying, you can type in Saint Philip Neri. Now, Saint Philip Neri was a guy from Tuscany. He was from Florence. He's from the ancient Etruscan grounds, ancient Etrusca, right? And I feel that he did have Etruscan DNA within him. If not, then he was at least imprinted with interaction with the Etruscan technology through his genetic history, through his ancestral history. So I do feel his DNA was influenced by Etruscan and ancient Egyptian, ancient Atlantean technology, spiritual technology. He was already predisposed in his genetic encoding. It was already time-coded within his genetics. Now, Saint Philip Neri is a very intriguing character in history, and this is in the 1500s, and, you know, we have a lot of documentation talking about this man, so he was a real person in history. Real accounts of him going through things. I know sometimes when you go back and research certain people, there's hardly any real recorded history of these people. You know, especially, you know, Jesus Christ, unfortunately. You know, most accounts of Jesus are written way after the time that he was there. You know, it was like so that's a whole nother thing. I do feel Jesus was a real man, the ultimate shaman, the ultimate prophet, the ultimate son of God, as we all are sons of God, right? Sons of the universe. But I do think the name Jesus got merged in with a couple different characters. That's, you know, some say, I mean, if you're Jehovah, you believe his name is Michael, right? And if you're, it's funny too, because if you look into the Urantia, man, I hope this is alright. I have a little lump that developed on my arm a couple of weeks ago. It keeps bothering me every time I look at it. But I'm not going to the doctor about it. I'm going to see what happens. It don't hurt or anything. Might be just like a fatty thing. I do have one on my stomach like that too, so. Anyway, there's my ADD, right? No, I'm not ADD, but I'm sitting here holding the camera in my arm. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this fucking thing. But what was I gonna say? Maybe I should cut it open. Maybe there's a robot in there or something. No, I'm just playing. No, it's like, it looked like it was a bug bite or something, but it's I don't know. Don't hurt. But whatever. It is what it is. Uh, what was I talking about now? So this guy Saint. Oh yeah, thank you, Phoebe. Oh, what's up, thoughts and perceptions? Thank you for putting me back on track. Um, if you look into the Urantia, Urania, it's not. It's actually Urantia. Urania is actually an ancient name as well. It's the name for Mother Earth, the goddess Earth. I'm pretty sure. Um, but Urantia with a T, or Urantia, I guess there's different ways you can say it, is really an amazing book. I mean, if somebody made that up, it's fucking phenomenal. And excuse my language, but it's truly mind blowing, but confusing in many aspects as well. And they use a lot of word salad type uh, ways to describe things, you know, and they word it as intricately as possible. Um, not as intricately, you know. It just the way they layer it is for the average person. When they read it, they're like, ugh, you know, they're not going to be able to, because you have to like read it a few times and you have to be really into it. But to tell you the complete truth about this, when I was a kid, right, I was oh, man, it was like right out of high school, and you know, I was rebelling, and my band was all on drugs and stuff like this, and we were crazy at that time and doing a lot of stuff, and I ended up getting put in the county jail uh, for a little while, right? And this, I'm gonna tell you the truth. This is my first experience with the Urantia work. Now, the weirdest friggin' thing, listen to this story. This guy, Ray, I'll never forget, Ray Colon. I don't know where this guy is now. He's a Spanish dude, right? This guy came out of we were watching like Jerry Springer or something, and I had violated my probation, and I had to go there for a couple months. I was in there a couple times at that age, and then when I actually got out, I went and traveled. I did a Muay Thai camp. I did a lot of things and cleansed my body. That's when I ended up doing ayahuasca and going to Brazil and Peru, and I changed my whole life after this, actually. But um, go back to the story. We were watching Jerry Springer in the main rec room, and right next to it is a place where you go to shower. But where I was, you go, the guard unclicks the door, and you go in by yourself and shower, and then the door clicks after you go in. So it wasn't like everybody was showering together. So there's that shower room was like right next to where our TV was, and everybody was in front of the TV, right? And well, not everybody, but a few people were right there. I was one of them on the right. I was right on the right, and I was right next to the shower room. So all of a sudden, we hear like a lot of commotion going on in the shower room, right? And the guy's in there by himself, and I don't know what he was like. It sounded like he was preaching. It sounded like he was praying and stuff, right? So this guy Ray comes out, and I've talked to him. We would play spades and stuff once in a while. You know, I knew him for a couple of weeks or whatever, and I guess he knew a kid I grew up with. So this kid Danny Bruin, he knew my friend Danny. So they grew up next door to each other. So like that's how we ended up talking. So I already knew who he was. He was cool. I was cool with him, and so he eventually unclicks the door, because you have to bang on the door, and then the guard, either if the guard doesn't hear, usually people next to the TV will yell to the guard too, like, oh, he's banging. So you have to be unclicked out of the shower. So and it's a loud click, like you hear the door click. So like as soon as the door clicks, everybody of course kind of looks over just to make sure everything's all right and this and that. So like it's just like a natural reflex to, like, when the door clicks, people look. So everybody heard the door click, and you know, people look over to the side, and this guy kicks the door open after the door clicked, right? So he just got out of the shower. We usually, when you call and hit this is protocol usually. Before you even bang the door, for the guard to unclick you. You should have already been back dressed with your jumper on, your shoes on, and ready to go to your wherever you're going to go to next. You're not supposed to come out naked or with a towel around you or anything like that. So when you call for the guard, that means when the door is ready to click, that you're exactly ready to walk out and do what you're supposed to, right? So the door clicked. He kicks the door open, and he's butt naked. And dude, he had like a big dick. His dick was swinging. It was swinging like he just got done having sex, or he just like it was still like fucking fat, right? Like he was. So this guy, he comes out butt naked, and he's holding that Urantia book, and he was like, I was in Las Vegas, and the clouds parted. The clouds parted, and I saw something green come down, and it spoke to me, and it told me to look into the Urantia papers. And he was talking about it, and he was going crazy. And then the guards came. He ended up getting pepper sprayed, and then like I saw him again a couple days later, and I was like, Yo, Ray, what's up, bro? And he was like, he was showing me that one of the Urantia books, and he was having some guy that he knows in jail, somebody on the outside, like. At that time, computers just came out, and like going online and being able to research something and then print it out on the friggin' printer was like amazing. So he was having somebody on the outside like print him out stuff from the Urantia and send it to him in the mail in jail and stuff. And he was like showing to me some of his mail, and that's the first time I saw they had like Michael of Nebadon, and that was basically the Jesus character. So similar to Jehovah's, the Urantia believers, and this is channeled information. This is just not some science fiction. This is channeling. They're connecting to some super quantum intelligence, similar to the raw channelings. Forget her name now. The person, she's dead now. Damn, I have the first 3 or 4 books, but they're channeling some sort of super higher computer intelligence, sort of possibly that have some sort of base or some sort of something going on within the rings of Saturn, which is in our prior sun. So that is very interesting that it calls itself Ra, because that is the sun god. And I believe that something changed when Saturn was once our sun, and now it is some sort of quantum intelligence out there, and it is still being able to psychically transmit information. And it's sort of what these Grigori, the renegade Grigori, and or Lhasa, or fallen angels, watchers, whatever you want to call these codes, these higher dimensional beings, it's what they have been entwined with and interacting with, and what they have injected into our realm, and what's coming over us like a net. This is that quantum higher intelligence I've been talking about, that's adding another layer to who we are. And I've been talking about this for a very long time now, and each and every day I pull in more information and connect more dots. I've said to you guys, I've literally decided to dedicate my whole life to this. My whole life right now is my wife and my baby, and this. Like, that's all. I live and breathe it. Sometimes a little bit too much. And I want to say thank you to my wife and my daughter for putting up with me, because I'm always immersed in my research, and she does a lot, and I do spend a lot of time with the baby. I'm with the baby always, but of course, but I am constantly involved in finding answers for you all, and for myself, and for our future, all of us. And I believe my near-death experience and my abilities that that I've inherited are a blessing and a curse. I have a lot of physical ailments because of it. I have a lot of weird sensitivity issues, and a lot of things that just like I don't go to the doctor or dentist unless I really have to. It's like I get forced to. I go for cleanings and stuff, but like I can't. It's horrible, man. The sensitivity with certain things, especially taking my blood, oh my God. And this is somebody who didn't fear anything before. You know, when I was younger, I didn't fear needles, I didn't fear tattoos. Now I can't even, you know, it's progressed as I got older, where I can't get a tattoo anymore now. No way. When I was younger, it was no problem, but now my sensitivity has progressed so much where certain things, certain vibrations on my body, it's too much. So it's a blessing and a curse, but I feel that I was given this and given my abilities to see through auric fields and have such a second sight that I've been given, that I have to use it to try to better our situation and find some answers for us. And that's what I've been doing. And you know, it's really intense, because when you start seeing what's happening on this planet, and you start questioning if this reality is real, and if we are just put in some sort of alternate. Wow, that was weird. Did you all hear that? Wow, it just sounded southern. I was like, did you all hear that? That was weird. Not the truck, but there was just something like behind me for a second, like woof, 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 woof. It sounded like it was really big, and then it wasn't there. That was weird. That was really, really weird. So anyway, what time is it? Yeah, because I gotta go in a minute, but we're gonna do another show in a little while, and I'm actually gonna record a Spirit Flame news for my patrons. A Spirit Flame news, if you're just joining me, is different spiritual information, paranormal news, metaphysical news, occult history, all sorts of interesting information that I do. They're like about 10 minutes or less videos that I do. It's called the Spirit Flame News. It's only for my patrons. So I'm gonna do one a day, hopefully. And they're really awesome. So what I was getting at too before we close, and everybody, you can support me on my PayPal on themysticalspiral.com. Of course, you can always support me in the chat right here. My show on Truth Frequency Radio is Off the Hook. If you want to know more about the Grigori or the Fallen Angels or the Watchers, check out my show that just happened Saturday night. I think even though I've interviewed Gary dozens of times, this might have been our best show. Really might have been our best show. And I'm going to actually figure out how to put that one on YouTube. Because I don't put all those, you know, they're for subscribers on for the whole archives, but I do have a few. But the old program I used to convert audio to video doesn't work anymore on my computer. I got to figure out how to do it. I'm not big up on computers and stuff. I barely use them. I've only had one for like about 10 years now or something like that. So I haven't always had computers, and I'm not, you know, I could figure things out. Like, I'm smart with figuring things out once, you know, especially if someone shows me how to do it. But I'm not like a computer guy who knows a lot about computers right now. So, but what was I going to say? So let me get back to what I was talking about with St. Philip Neri. Now, this man I reported on, I think a few months ago on my Patreon. Comes from Florence. I was talking about his DNA was basically time coded, predisposed. It was pre-programmed with this spiritual technology, and to have a scent for it. Right now, something amazing happened to St. Philip Neri, and this is what I call some sort of sacred, spiritual sacred fire, heart hijack or something like that. You can basically call it, because in fact, if you go into Catholicism and Christianity, they talk about the Sacred Heart, where it's like a heart that's on fire. You can actually see it. Now, I do believe when you're a spiritual person and you're working through from your heart center, and you have these, you activate this higher dimensional brain, and you start interacting with the spiritual realms, and your heart center is wide open, you're also able to, you're susceptible to getting good forces and dark forces possibly to enter into your consciousness, and your, even into your, grab your heart center, literally put a some sort of net or some sort of technology, spiritual technology, around your auric field, around the center of your heart, the spiritual layer of that area, right? And it literally will have like a holographic technology that's wrapped around your heart and pumps a spiritual sacred fire into you. And it could come into you, and it could come into you, and it can inspire you to do all sorts of things, both good or bad. Now, this sacred fire was reported in a lot of people that ended up being saints and a lot of holy men in different cultures over time. One of them is Saint Philip Neri. Now, Philip Neri comes from Florence. He 1500s, 1530s, I think, or something like that. And it's said, now he didn't reveal this until he was basically on his deathbed, why he had this and how he had this spiritual transformation. Now, Saint Philip Neri was always reported having like fire in his blood. Now, this is an injection of the Grigori, of the seraphim, of the jinn, or the fallen angels, watchers, whatever you choose to call them. They are made from a spiritual fire, volcanic, sacred fire, a cauldron of creation. They are able to create, and they are able to replicate, and they are able to do some sort of spiritual creations, and they can work with all elements and live in all elements, and they can live in a gaseous, in ethereal, all of these, they can live in all of these different elemental forces. And they were never supposed to interact with our world, and when they did, they broke sacred codes. I've been talking about this. Now, they can inject a sacred fire into your auric field, and it can wrap around your heart center. I've seen it in the spiritual realms. It's not just a theory. I've seen it take place. I've been shown examples of this, and my research is now backing it up. Hello, Leah. Now, I don't know if I have a stellium in my chart. I'm not even sure what a stellium is. But, so, St. Philip Neri, he was always reported of always being very, very hot. His heart would be thumping, especially when he would be preaching. People near him would feel like such a fire coming off of him. He would always have to keep his top shirt unbuttoned because he felt like his blood was on fire all the time. Now, he revealed on his deathbed what happened to him. And this guy, let me remind you, he's raised the dead before. All right? He's done some miracles, this guy, both alive and after his relics, after he died, his corpse, and the spots dedicated to him. So there's a spiritual technology still attached to this man. And his essence, it's still within him. The Grigori are still using him as a battery. They're still using his soul. They're still using his pure spirit energy as a weapon to convert people, to enchant people, to all of this, right? Yeah, St. Philip Neri. Yep, that's it. Yep, that's it. And Neri means like black. Nero is black. So Neri means like black plural, like the plural, like many black or many dark. So he was filled with this sacred fire, this holy vessel, sacred hijack, right? And he revealed on his deathbed where and how it happened, when it took place, and where he encountered it. And where did he encounter this? He encountered this spiritual transformation in the catacombs beneath the Vatican, beneath Rome, outside the Vatican walls, in those catacombs. And it was, I forget the saint's name, but it was at a specific saint's tomb that it happened. I have it in my research, the saint's actual saint's name. Um, he was in the catacombs at this specific saint's tomb and body, and he felt something, a sacred fire, take over his heart, take over his chest, pump through his veins and his blood, and it took him over. And ever since that moment, he had that sacred fire in him. And I do a more in-depth article on my Patreon. If you just go to my Patreon, you could find imagery of Saint Philip Neri. You could find an article about him. I think I did a few articles about him. And if there's only one, I'm gonna do more. So I have way more information because I witnessed this take place. You know, I saw glimpses of certain things like this, and I was shown this technology. And it's related to the scarab technology as well, and the heart center, and preserving the heart and the resurrection. It's all related to a sacred spiritual technology that was never supposed to be tampered with. And when there was a few universal codes that were broken, and the Grigori made this happen. When they came into our realm, the renegade Grigori, the renegade fallen ones, they infected mankind, right? And now we have a spiritual technology, and we have a spiritual knowing, as we call magic and all of these things that we can't fully comprehend, but yet we use. And that's where my genetic history, my lineage, going back thousands of years that I've been revealed to, has been involved in Italy. Some of my ancestors, chosen ones in certain generations, have been chosen to battle this. Now, we don't make spells, we break them. We are here to help battle the magic that's been put onto our realm and break the spiritual sickness of people. And this is what we've been devoted to. And it's a battle that most people have already lost. And it's very sad on this planet. So it's very important that people support not only people like me, but other people that you see that I interact with, and other people out there that are trying to reveal the truth. I'm actually going to be doing a roundtable discussion. I've been invited on Leo Zagami's show. I'll be on Leo Zagami's YouTube channel. He does his own YouTube. He has his own the Leo Zagami channel, the Leo Lion Zagami channel on YouTube. Now, Leo's a buddy of mine. We have similar backgrounds. And he actually works for the Alex Jones show for InfoWars. And so he invited me on his show Friday. And joining me is going to be Reverend David Parry. So we're going to do a roundtable discussion. And then also, I'm going to do another show on Leo's channel with a guy that I just met, John Barnwell. So we're going to do a few roundtable discussions with me, having the voice of the Strega side of things. So it's very, very interesting, the times we're living at now. And it's very important for people to show their support and help us out, because we are all taking a risk by dedicating our lives to this. It's very important that there's people like me and people like you out there that are listening, that are dedicating time to revealing the true truth of our history and what's going on. Because it's not just what's happening in our physical realm, it's the spiritual realms that is the root of all of the problems here in our physical dimension. And until science and everybody recognizes that, there's going to be big problems. That's why, don't you see that we are working with a replicator technology? I mean, look at the let me throw this at you for a second. I said it yesterday. Look at the current state we're in. We have the technology to send robots and people to other planets, and we have rockets and quantum computers and all of this technology, but yet we can't even stand for 2 minutes at the grocery store and wait on a line, or we can't even like do certain simple. Don't you think there's something wrong here? Don't you think that if we have an acceleration of one thing that we should have accelerated in our consciousness at the same time a little bit? But no, we've downgraded in consciousness, and the technology has exploded. So doesn't that show you we're not interfacing with it appropriately? We've just become reliant on it, and we're just asking it to do everything for us, so we don't have to do anything, and we get impatient when we have to do something. Doesn't that seem a little bizarre to any of you out there? Doesn't that seem a little mixed up? It's because we've lost our spiritual side. It's because we've lost our faith. And I was shown an ancient stone that's connected to my lineage and who I was in a prior life. And this is, if you see in the title, I put the Cybele or Cybele. This is an ancient, you could also spell them this with an S, the Cybelean oracles as well. It's related to this. These are an ancient line of prophets and seers. And at one time, there was one Cybele that was connected to the Roman, Etruscan area. And even in Greece, they were connected. A line of priestesses, a line of prophetesses, right? That they had a meteorite that they called, it was basically like an alien stone, the Cybele stone. Now, I had it in my hands in my dreams last night. I remember how big it was, and it was shaped like a cone. It was conical and it was black, and I was like showing it, and I showed an image of me at one time holding it in my hands, and it was my energy. It was who I was in a prior life. It was a woman, and she had a gown on, and she had a blindfold over her eyes when she was holding it. And what else can I remember about it? It was very conical, and it almost like it had, not like an umphalos stone, but it almost looked like it had a net on it, like almost like a holographic net on top of it. You know, I don't know how to describe it any better. I could draw it. And then last night, let me see if I have my notebook in the car. Last night I was getting all this imagery of like this long thing that goes through what is like our Earth, that goes through the North and South Pole, almost like we're on it's some sort of like time gateway stick that I saw. And then next to it was this big, almost like bucket of a portal with a backwards upside down V on it. And I was getting this imagery last night, and you know, I was trying to make sense out of it. But I even was getting imageries of volcanoes and nuclear power plants, and a very reddish pink energy. And I do feel that this stone, this Cybele stone, and at one time they were bringing it to different oracles. And I know in 204, in the year 204 or something like that, around that time, there was asteroids, meteorites coming down from the sky in quantity. And the Roman soldiers, they were looking into the Cybelean oracle books for answers when they have a sign from the gods. And they were told to bring the Cybele stone somewhere else. Now, I do feel the Cybele stone is somewhere in the Vatican, underneath the Vatican, and it's related to a lot of mystical things that happened, maybe even Philip Neri. And since he's from areas in Italy where this stone once was. And maybe it's related. Maybe this is related to each other. But I do feel that stone has information in it. And if it's placed on certain key spots on our planet, it's like it locks into place. It forms a harmonizing energy. And there's certain things on our planet that can do that. And when I brought my crystal skull to that spot, like I talked about before, it locked into place, and it made it gave me a download. It created some sort of multidimensional harmony, some sort of multidimensional anchor of energy, and it was life changing. So certain stones, and I feel this stone, from what I've been shown in my just knowing that I have, that comes over me, that it comes from like Aldebaran or somewhere like that. It literally is some sort of black meteorite that is connected to Aldebaran. And I don't even know if NASA or scientists or those kind of people say that's even possible for something to come from Aldebaran. I don't care. But for some reason, I feel it connected to the Aldebaran, the eye of Taurus, the eye of God, they would call it in ancient occult. This is the red eye of Taurus. It's somehow connected to Aldebaran, and it's somehow connected to our vernal equinox. And I've been talking about that. So it was, and last night I saw images of me holding it at one time. It was part of my visions last night, part of my Ember Days travel. So it's truly amazing as more information is coming. And I'm here, everybody, and it's my honor to be able to be here and share my day with you and share this time with you, and that we're all alive in this moment. It's truly an honor. And I thank everybody for always coming in and supporting. If you can, even if you can support $2, $3, it's always good to help out, because so we could do this every day live. And let me see if I have that notebook. I don't know if I brought it with me. I was doing like these sketches last night, or not really sketches. I was doodling when I was getting some imagery. I don't know if I brought that notebook with me. Guys, look how crazy I am, how much books I bring out with me when in case I have to look something up. Just when I come out, look at this. Look at, I have a whole bag of books. Whole bag of books. And my book bag's all full too. I mean, we're talking about Herodotus, The Secret Doctrine. I mean, it's just endless books in here. Really endless books in here. The Archaic Dictionary. Damn, I didn't bring that. Look, here's Leo Zagami's book, The Invisible Master. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. No, I didn't have my notebook with me, though. Well, that sucks. Let's see. Maybe I brought it up here. Look, even in the front seat, check this out. Look at the golden intelligence is back, my golden hat. It's got like the Egyptian god scales on it too. Look at, that's from my videos. But look, see, this is the Urantia book that I'm talking about. This is my old one. No, I don't have the golden bow. This is an amazing guy right here. Heinz von Forster. He's one of the creators of cybernetics. This is required reading for Fordham University for if you're taking certain topics, certain majors. But that guy, I had no idea who that guy was actually. Heinz von Forster, a German guy, right? I think he's German Jewish. I'm not sure, but I saw him in a dream. I literally saw this guy in a dream, and then I woke up and I went to YouTube, and it was, for some reason, right there, the guy I saw. It was like a fucking spiritual sign. And I found him that way. And he literally was talking to me with bushy eyebrows in my dream. And I was seeing the Ouroboros symbol. It led me to his book. And most people don't even know who that guy is. But he's one of the creators of cybernetics. And cybernetic and the thinking and that sort of thinking. That is the control between communication, the control and communication between plants and other systems, animals and machines. You know, and I've been talking about a lot so far today, so I'm gonna go record my Spirit Flame news in a minute. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Spiral out.